morning, and welcome to the Crossroads on this morning. I am Cheryl, and I'm going to be conducting our first training session for this day. And I just want to say thank you for allowing me to enter into your presence wherever you are, whether it's on YouTube or on Facebook. Welcome on this morning, and thank you for having me in your presence. Whenever I went out on this morning and I did my little invite that I normally do on Sunday mornings prior to actually coming into training, I said that this was a season of Thanksgiving. We're in the Thanksgiving season, and from this it leads from the holiday of Thanksgiving into the Christmas season. And whenever I said that we were in the Thanksgiving season, I thought about it, but I did not voice it then. So that's why I'm going to do it now. Isn't it amazing how we have different seasons in life that we go through? Then there's different seasons in our own personal lives that we go through. So then it doesn't matter what season you're in life, sometimes it seems like. You will still be enthralled in the season that's in this lifetime. Just like I said, whether it's like Thanksgiving or Christmas or what people say is Easter or whatever, those seasons come and it really does not matter to the seasons what our season in our life is, what we're going through at that time. But those seasons, and I want you to understand that, because those seasons do not stop. It continues until it ends, and then whatever the next season is begin. We should be no different. Okay. The seasons that we go through in our life, we need to go through those seasons, and those seasons need to come. Then they need to end, and then we need to go into the next season. Seasons to me, preparations, even numbers, everything works together. I believe. You can go into a season and you can stay in that season, but when you come out, I think about 7 you're complete and 8 is a new beginning, because then there's a different season that you're going to go into. But what I want to talk about on this morning is how we believe. If we believe, do we believe? Have we believed? Have we received what it was we believed? Oh my goodness. And all of this came from things that we face in this life. How we get in it, what we do while we're in it, and how we come out. If we come out, how long we stay. All of these are questions concerning how we believe. It really is. And I thought about the scripture, but what God gave me was just 2 words, and I have it on the back of the board behind me, and all he said was, only believe. Only believe. I said in a training session before that worry is a meditation. You can worry, or you can say, well, I'm not worried, but you can have a certain situation or a certain problem, in your heart, on your mind. And, even if you go in and out of it from time to time, if it comes back, that's a part of what it is you're thinking about. It's a part of what it is you're meditating on. And that does lead to a state of worry, which can go into other different stages, and it changed from worry to oppression, depression, stress, and all these other things. So we're going to see how we can get to the place today to just only believe. Only believe. And it does matter what we believe. And I'm going to prove that from this story in Mark, the 5th chapter. And the key verse is verse 36. However, I want to start off by saying this, and you will find out that although this is what is written, your life also portrays what is written. Our life, the way we live, we can come right here to this Constitution, And we can find out, hey, I had that going on. I can see myself in that. But see what was done. See how it was done. See what you need to do in order to get the results, either that they got or the results that you want. And I'll start off by saying this. Now I'm going to, in this training session, I'm going to be going from this into my personal life, just because I want you to see and I want you to get the understanding that what is already written and how it is we live, there is really no difference. But I just believe that today we try to find different ways of how we can come out versus the proper way of being delivered out of. So that's what the aim is today. That's what we're going to have to train our mind, train our bodies, train our thoughts. We're going to have to train our eyes. We're going to have to train our ears. We're going to have to train our feet. And we have the ability and the capability of being able to do this. And it comes from what it is, how it is, we believe. Now in Mark, the 5th chapter, we find out that Jesus had a lot of things going on this particular day. Him and the disciples had already gotten the boat, and they had already, they traveled, and they went over to, they crossed over to the other side, that's how they call it. And then they went by boat, and they came to this island, to this place where there was a man that was possessed. And that was the first thing, that was the first encounter that Christ and the disciples came into. They came into this place where this was a man that was possessed. I don't want to focus on, listen at this, I don't want to focus on what was going on. I'm focusing on today that everybody got something going on. I don't care. You may not be possessed. That's not what it's about. The aim to this today is that what are you wondering about? What are you worried about? What are you thinking about? What has you in a place today whereas it seems like you don't know which way to go, which direction to take? This is the thing. But whatever it is, you know about it. It is you. Jesus had a lot of things going on. He just left from feeding the 5,000 going on, coming over here, getting in a boat, getting to this particular place, and then whenever he gets there, this is what he meets. Whenever he deals with that situation, he goes on. Before he could even move, then a man comes to him on behalf of a daughter that he has at home that's dying. And he's asking Jesus, would you come with me? And Jesus says, yes, I'll go. And while he's going, then he don't get to finish one thing. Listen at what I'm telling you before another thing comes. Does that sound familiar? Yes. Does it sound like it seems like you don't come out of one thing before when you walk out of that thing, then the next thing hits you. And as he was going with him, here comes the woman with the issue of blood. Listen at what she says, though. This woman says, and you can go from the King James Version, if I can only. Somebody better say something this morning. See, we talk about only. We do. We talk about our onlys, right? We say, we say things like, I only want to, if you got something, I only want to see it. I'm not going to do nothing with it. I only want to see it. And then whenever you show it to them, well, just let me hold it. Let me hold it. I tell you what, you hold it. Just let me touch it. So our only is not the only that it should be from what it is we said it is. Okay? Somebody follow me here. You know, I only want to go to this place. Mama, can I go? I'll only stay. And we wind up going past. We have a lot of things that we say we only want to do. We only want to see. I only had. I only have. We use the word only so loosely, and then whenever we have to enact that word and act upon that word, we find out that there are other things attached to our only. So our only does not become only. It's just a word we use that that we can get to something else other than what we already know the word we need to just at least open up the door. I only. This woman with the issue of blood, she said, if I could just only touch. And that's all, you know what? She did that. She did that. And because her only was sincerely her only was all she had in mind. When we say only sometimes, we have more in mind than what you hear because of what it is we see. We see the end of our only, which is not just what we ask to only do, to only say, to only see. We see the end of it, which is going to require, after you give me that, then I have something else in me to get to the other part of what I need you to do. So my only does not become my only that I receive. And when our only is not our only, everything else added to it, we become wicked, devious, and we devise a way other than just saying what the end of the thing is. Anybody following me this morning?
Yes.
This lady said, if I could only touch. And when she did, because that was all that she had in her, it went no further. Her only was going to provide for her just what she said. See, she made a complete statement. If I can only touch the hem of his garment, I will be made. Come on, somebody. All I want to do, I only want to see it, and we leave it. What do you want to see it for? What are you going to do with it when you see it? What will seeing it do for you? To bring you to the end of yourself in truth. To make your only a part of you, and you receive what your only was. Now, if you get gratification just by seeing it, so be it. Just don't let your only cause you to see it and then disguise and ask to do something else to get to the real end of why it is you only wanted to see it. Let's run. Even while Jesus was dealing with her, because he began to deal with her, he turned around, because whenever she touched him, I said she touched him. I said she touched him. The Bible says that virtue went from him, went out of him, and which caused Jesus to have to turn around and say, "Who?" He didn't say, "Who touched my garment?" See, when your only becomes your only, he said, "Who touched me?" That she was able to receive who touched me? See, our only don't touch because we have other alternatives. We have other motives. But this is a way that we can get into. This is the door that we open for ourselves in order to be able to walk into what it is we want. And it's not the right way. He was dealing with her. And at that time, Jairus was with him. That was the man's name whose daughter was at home, sick. And Jesus is still dealing. Listen, check this out. Jesus is still dealing with the woman with the issue of blood. And at that time, someone comes to Jairus and said, "Your daughter is dead." Ha! Jesus stops. He heard. 5:36 says. Somebody 5:36. Somebody, watch out for about. Look today and see what happened at 5:36. See if he'll hear you today at 5:36. And whenever it said, as soon as Jesus heard the word. See, that man was walking with him to take Jesus to where it was he needed to be in order to do what he wanted Jesus to do for his daughter. And he was no doubt encountering everything that Jesus was going through. And while he was there, someone comes to him and he says, you know, your daughter is dead. The Bible says when Jesus heard that, when he heard the words that were spoken, he turned to the ruler of the synagogue and he said this to him. My God. He said, be not afraid. He said, only believe. Let's talk about some fear right here for a minute. Because I promise you, the Bible tells us that we have to know how to guard our heart. You can't guard your heart until you guard your ear. There are things that we hear and we don't know sometimes what we're going to hear. But then there's sometimes whenever things happen to us in life, depending on who comes, we know that if that person is associated with what it is that we know. And if somebody comes, say for instance, if you had somebody that was really sick in your family, and somebody from your family that you hadn't seen in a long time, but they literally come to you in person, and they're connected to the person that's sick, really sick. When you see that person, the first thing you're going to assume is what happened. You're going to look because you're going to hear something from that person, but you already have a feeling sometimes what it is that person is about to say. Now, the Bible don't tell us about who Jairus saw, but we understand that where the person came from to him, that it was connected to the daughter. It was connected to her. And when he heard what he said, it didn't say Jairus said anything. But I love that God knows about us, even in places where we don't know about ourselves. And what had happened was Jesus spoke. And he said, be not afraid. Now let's talk about fear. Let's talk about fear for a second. 2 Timothy 1:7, we often quote this, but let's talk about it for a minute. We often quote this, and 2 Timothy 1:7 says, come on y'all know it, but God has not given us the spirit of fear. God has not given, I make it personal, God has not given Cheryl, God did not give Cheryl, God did not give it to me. God did not give Cheryl the spirit of fear. So that means then that fear is a gift. And whenever we find fear at work in us, we've received it. And I'm going to pause right there, and I'm going to take you into, this is where it becomes personal. Yesterday, I didn't understand it at first, but yesterday morning, real early, got up and was going to Walmart, was trying to get ahead of the shoppers so I could get what I needed from Walmart. And I received a phone call on my way to Walmart. And it was from a believer. And I was listening, and she began to talk to me and to tell me that she needed to talk to me about the Sabbath. So I said, oh, okay. I said, well, this is what I'm doing, da-da-da-da. I said, I'll call you back. And I did. I did what I had to do, and at Walmart, and then I got in the car, and I called her. And I said, hey, I said, I'm coming back at you. I said, what's going on? I said, you wanted to talk to me about the Sabbath. And the believer was saying, yeah, you have a training center. Why don't you train on the Sabbath? And I began to say, I said, you know what? I said, I had an encounter one time before, I said, with a Jehovah's Witness. I said, and this lady told me, she said, you got everything right. She said, the only thing you got wrong is the day. She said, the only thing you got wrong is the day. So whenever this believer was telling me about Saturday and training on the Sabbath, she was really adamant, not overbearingly, but she was really adamant about it, so much to the point where as to, her voice trembled, and she would say, you know, don't, if you tell me that God told you something, I'm never above God, and I don't speak over that. So I told the believer, I said, but you know, I said, one thing about me, I said, I do what I do. I said, believing that this is what God would have me to do. I said, however, I said, I hear you. I said, and I'll go to God. I said, because I know this God that I serve. If it's time for me to turn or to do anything different, I said, yes. You know, like the Bible said, you will hear a voice behind you say, this is the way, walk in this. And so and the believer was like, oh, okay. She said, you know, that's just what I wanted, you know, to say. I said, that's fine, no problem. I said, but I do want to say this to you. I said, the word lets us know that Saturday, I said, I understand it in the old covenant, don't get me wrong. I said, and I do observe it, I said, on my Saturdays. I said, however, I said, the Bible tells us that let no man judge you on your Sabbath day. And then it goes on to say, because every day is a Sabbath. And every day we should live holy unto the Lord. Every day. So, but as I said, I closed with that, and I said, let me do what I got to do. I said, thank you, you know, I hear you. And after that, the believer began to tell me about an encounter that they went through 1 or 2 days ago. And I was sitting there, and I was driving, and I was listening. And I was given a blow-by-blow play. That's why I'm telling you all, we don't know sometimes what we're going to hear. But we need to know, number one, where you are. Where you are at that time. Because I'm here to tell you this morning, the enemy knows. The enemy knows, and the enemy will send something to you that is so similar that whenever the word speaks that he's subtle and he's crafty, trust the word. Trust the word. I listened to the encounter that this believer had, blow by blow by blow by blow by blow. Did not know that I had received what it was that was said. I got home, we finished, I got home and started to do my cooking. And it was a fear, it was a shaking on the inside of me. It was such an uneasiness in me. And I got back to thinking about something. And I was like, my God. I was like, oh my goodness. I'm like, what in the world is going on? I did not know that I had received. I received what that believer was saying that they encountered. Their encounter from my hearing went into me. Y'all better hear me because I'm telling you it's real. You better know how to guard your ear. You're no different than me. You need to know how to guard your ear. You need to know what to take in and what not to. That's when you guard your heart. Because whenever you hear it, then this is the reception of it. Whenever you can't dislodge it. Whenever you don't dislodge that thing to dispel it, then that thing goes into your heart. And that's whenever your heart starts allowing that's in you to start moving. And you get so uneasy. And you wondering, where is this coming from? What is this? I was like that for a good portion of yesterday. Until I received another phone call. Well, wait a minute. Before that happened, I got another phone call. Actually, while I was in Walmart. And this person was telling me that they had, and what's so funny, the two conversations, the both encounter that they had was both at the same place. Not together, but in the same location, in the same place, at different times. And whenever that person began to tell me about theirs, I listened to that too. But they are telling me these things because I have a relationship with them. or I know something of what it is they were going through, and they was trying to tell me the outcome of it. And their outcome came into me. And I did not dislodge it or dispel it. And then whenever I got to the place where I started doing what I had to do in the day, I found out that I was off. And it was like a spirit of fear gripped me, and I was wondering where it came from. What is this? What is this? It wasn't until I had an encounter with another believer later on last night that as I was speaking, that's when the word of God came to me and it let me know. But let me tell you what I did. Whenever I knew that it was a spirit of fear, that's when I began. Then I had to literally to dislodge that thing in me, to let it go. Because as I said, God has not given it. And if we've received it, anything you receive, you can reject. Am I correct? If what you receive you don't want, you can reject it. Okay, so if God didn't give it, then it means that someone else gave it, right? Mm-hmm. But let's look at how powerful fear is. Let's look at how powerful fear is. Fear is so powerful that it takes 3 spiritual forces to dislodge it. Play with fear if you want to. Power, love, and a sound mind. Fear is so powerful that it takes those 3 spiritual forces to dislodge it. That's why sometimes you can go to Hebrews, I'll get it, but it tells you that sometimes fear takes over a person's life from their birth to their death. They live a whole life of fear. It's written in the Word. But fear is that spirit that's, you know how the Bible says, like John was the forerunner of Christ? Fear is the forerunner of every other spirit. Every other spirit stands and then waits for fear to open the door. No spirit will enter a door that fear has not opened. No spirit will enter a door that fear has not opened. So what does that say? Every spirit is at the mercy of fear. What they do is they wait patiently for fear to open that door. But it's going to take courage. It literally takes courage. And I can give you the stories of David with Goliath. I can give you the story of how it is. I can give you the story of Moses, with Noah and the building of the ark. I can give you so many stories that what we literally celebrate today, everything that we celebrate, everything that you celebrate on today is really the other side of courage. Because you had the courage, because we had the courage to do this, we had the courage to stand, we had the courage to. It's going to take courage in this day to be able to believe and to be able to only believe. Now, let me give you a definition for the word only. I had to put that story in there because it wouldn't be what it is without a witness or a testimony. Okay? In our lives, we're testifying every day to what's in this life by how we live it and how we meet it and how we handle it and how we come out of it. The definition for the word only says, listen at how this definition starts. And no one or nothing more besides. I looked at that definition because "and" is a conjunction word, right? But it starts off, it says, and no one. That's how the definition for only starts. And no one. I can't connect you. It's not a connection. You're not conjoined. We're not in this with nobody else. So this lets me know when Jesus heard what they told Jairus, he told him, he said, be not afraid. See, he had to deal with what came from the words that was spoken to him. He had to deal with what he knew fear was getting ready to open the door. So he said, let's just close that door right now. He said, because you know what? I'm a present help. I am present to help. So we're not, so the power and the love and the sound mind you need, I'm here with you right now. I am Emmanuel. I am with you. First thing he told him, he didn't say, no, she's not. He dealt with what he heard that came to the ear that had all opportunity to lodge in his heart for his sight to be turned from the power, the love, and the sound mind that he was in tune with, on the walk with, getting ready to go. Only, he said, believe. So that means, whenever he says only believe, that means now that we got to get past us. We literally have to, because this thing, it goes beyond me. It goes beyond you. It goes beyond us. Only believe. Don't attach anything else to what you hope to receive. Don't attach anything else to what you hope to receive. Only believe. Only believe. Does that say that even until we get to what it is we're going to receive, that other things won't come? No. No, they will. But you can't allow that to attach itself to your only. So that means the first thing is, be not. Don't become something that you're not. We have the tendency to become what we're not based on what we hear. And what we hear determines what we become. But he's saying, you're with me, I'm with you. He says, stand in that place and be. Reject what's coming. You heard it. 2 Corinthians 4:18. But we look not at the things that are seen. Because the things that are seen are temporal. And Jesus was there present. Y'all, let me say something to you, because this is the end of the teaching, in a sense, and I'll pick it up again on Tuesday. We're waiting now, and we're praying for Jesus to come and do what we need done. But if we have received him, then he's in us and he's present to do. So what happens now is we now have the authority to do just what he did. But things don't come into fruition. Things don't manifest before us for a long period of time, because we have it all backwards. We read it, we see he was with them. Today he's still with us, but he's in us. So things should be being seen. Let's back it up. Heard, seen, and done. No wait, period. No wait, period. We've come to the place where we have received who it is we need. So why are we still in places where we need to be, and be not afraid, and only. That means that there's nothing else. Only believe. There is something, because when the apostles was in the book of Acts, and they got to the believers, and they asked them, they said, they were basically asking them to receive, the Holy Ghost on the inside. And they said, we haven't heard whether there be any. So they asked me, well, unto what baptism was you baptized? And they said, unto John's baptism. So they came expounding the word of God more excellently. And then they laid hands, because this was the question. Have you received since you believe? They only had what John had given. What do you only have? We only need to have belief in order to receive. Anything else tied to this only? See, we tie a lot of things to our only in this life. But anything else tied to this only keeps us from having. But whenever we get to this genuinely only, this only, no strings attached, it's not up to me. God, your reputation is on the line. I believe. Have you received since you believed? Oh, it's going to take some time, I know that it's going to take some time. Can you receive it? By prayer. In prayer. For the manifestation. Only believe. This only here takes us into another realm. It takes us out of the way the world do things. And it gives us another level in God. Whereas to even our very language change. What we say change. How we think changes. It changes. Everything changes because I'm no more in this dimension. I don't think this way. I don't have to have anything attached to this only. Everything that's attached to this only here is for this realm. This realm here takes me to another level. This realm of this only here comes with nothing else attached. Nothing else but the word of God. According to 1 Corinthians 2:5. Not by the wisdom of man. I'm not standing by faith on the wisdom of man, but on the power of God. That he's able to do exceeding abundantly above all that I may ask or think. But it's according to the power that worketh in me. Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But I got to be still first and know. I got to be that. Be still my heart. Be still and know that he is God. I got to be still. And I got to ask that's before me. That I've heard. That comes to grip me. That's waiting to get in me for me to receive the gift. And he's packaged it so beautifully that I can hear. But if you don't know how to dislodge what it is you're hearing, you're going to allow fear to grip you, and it's going to open you up for any and every other spirit that wants to permeate your fleshly body. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Man, there's spiritual wickedness in high places, but we got to tell everything that exalts itself above power in the name of the God we serve. As soon as Jesus heard the word, as soon as you hear what it is that's negative, as soon as you hear what it is that comes to take you out of your place of being, be not afraid. That's what you be, not afraid. Only believe. only believe. Believe what is written. Believe what is said. Believe what you speak. Believe that it shall come to pass. Man, when we get into situations like this, we have to get out ourselves because it's beyond us. It's beyond us. And this is one thing about this is that we need to tell that's before us. You need to address it just as the word said. Who art thou? O mountain of Zerubbabel. You know, the faith that we have in the power of God will cause us to be able to speak to that mountain, to speak to whatever it is. And I love this right here. I love this one. These Egyptians that you see today, you will see no more. Because it is the Lord that goeth before us to fight for us and to save us. Can you only, just only, don't add nothing else to it, but can you only believe? But you have to know what it is you believe and who it is you believe in order to receive. God bless you.